Welcome to Apps in Law. I'm Brett Burney. Today's app is Overcast, a free universal app available for both the iPhone and iPad to play and manage podcasts.
What's a podcast?
Think of listening to your favorite radio show whenever you want to from your mobile phone or computer. But it's not just commercial radio. Podcasts cover all kinds of topics, thousands of topics on anything that interests you by all kinds of people, regular people, celebrities, consultants, lawyers. Podcasts have gotten so popular that even NPR releases some of their most popular shows as podcasts, so you can listen on your own time. The word is a portmanteau of iPod and broadcasts. Apple's iPod was in the right place at the right time when people started recording audio shows and making them available to download as MP3 files. People could download and listen to those MP3 files on their computers, but they wanted to listen to them while they were walking in the park or cleaning the yard, so they copied the MP3 files onto their iPods, and we called those recordings podcasts. But you don't have to have an iPod to listen to podcasts. Any mobile phone can play MP3 files today. Some folks tried to product neutralize the term, like the Twit TV network, who experimented with calling them netcasts.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
But that didn't really catch on. By 2005, Apple formally embraced podcasts by officially supporting them in the iTunes software. And today, iTunes is the most well-known podcast directory with a whole section devoted to finding whatever show fits your fancy. In 2012, Apple released an official podcasts app for the iPhone, but it wasn't that great. We, who were serious about podcasts, eschewed Apple's app and tried other podcatchers, such as Downcast or Instacast. In July 2014, well-respected app developer and Apple blogger Marco Arment released an innovative podcast app called Overcast. And in February 2017, Marco released version 3 of Overcast with some interface refreshments and other engaging tweaks. Overcast is free, but you'll see some ads in exchange for that price. These aren't just any ads. Marco was unhappy with the limited control he had over what Google Ads served to his app, so he now creates his own ads. You can choose to bypass all ads and support one of the most thoughtful iOS app developers on the planet by paying $9.99 a year through an in-app purchase. It's a small price to pay to keep the coding fires burning. You'll need to set up a free account at overcast.fm, or you can do this in the app. Marco explains this setup preserves the iPhone's battery life because the servers are doing all the work on the background to keep your podcast subscriptions up to date, and you can log into your account at overcast.fm to play podcasts with some basic functions. To add a podcast, tap the plus sign in the upper right corner. You can add a specific URL if you know the feed address of your podcast, or I just usually start searching for the podcast name. If you don't know what to listen to, there are several categories that offer some of the more popular shows, but may I suggest starting off with a podcast from the Legal Talk Network, such as The Digital Detectives or the ABA Legal Rebels. Or check out The Law Entrepreneur with Neil Tyra. Or you can listen to my brand new Apps in Law podcast. I just posted the 4th episode with Jeff Richardson, who authors the iPhone JD blog. When you tap on an episode with the newest upgrade in Overcast, a little drawer drops down below with buttons for share, star or favorite, play, put in queue for a playlist or simply up next, and delete. I'm sometimes choosy on which episodes of a podcast that I listen to, so I'll tap the info button to open the show notes, or if you have an iPhone 6S or 7, you can use 3D Touch to peek into the show notes or pop them open. The now playing screen features a big honkin' play pause button on the bottom, flanked by the 30-second seek back and seek forward buttons. You can change the time increment in the settings. On the top, you can swipe the podcast art to the left to reveal the show notes, or swipe the podcast art to the right to reveal the most fabulous features of Overcast. First is the ability to speed up the playback. For some podcasts, I enjoy listening at their regular speaking speed, but for others, I listen in half the time. The content is great, but time is precious. I don't quite get to chipmunk speed, but I usually sit at 1.5 times faster. Smart speed shortens the silences in most shows. I don't have time for awkward or dramatic pauses. And Voice Boost normalizes the volume across a podcast and smooths out the voices so that one person isn't loud and the other quiet. Even better, these audio settings can be set up custom for this podcast so that I can have different settings for different podcasts. In settings, you can choose to download new episodes for your podcast subscriptions via Wi-Fi only or over your cellular data plan. The settings offer some really nice tweaks for your podcast playing experience. One of my favorite areas is nitpicky details. At the bottom, you get a little legend on how your headphone remotes will work to skip episodes or seek back and forth. If you're interested in listening to podcasts on your iPhone or iPad, do yourself a favor and download the free Overcast app, link below. And don't forget to subscribe to the Apps and Law podcast. Be sure to sign up at appsandlaw.com to be notified of new app reviews. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you.